I might add, a highly reputable journal. It published, let's see, on October 4th, so that was Thursday, right? It published an article, The Big Hack, How China Used a Tiny Chip to Infiltrate U.S. Companies. And it involves a physical hack of motherboards made in China. Now, before you get all crazy about this, wait, because there's some questions. So, this is the original story on Thursday. Talked about a tiny chip the size of a grain of rice. That was
in 1,000 feet, turn right onto McIntyre Lane.
Posing as a minor support chip on motherboards, but that in fact would phone home as soon as it got on the internet and allowed the Chinese spies, I guess, to modify the operating system on these systems.
Turn right onto McIntyre Lane.
The motherboards were made, according to Bloomberg, this is all according to Bloomberg Businessweek, by Supermicro and used in servers by many companies, including Apple and in fact, we even had one of them.
Turn left onto McIntyre Lane. Continue.
Supposedly hacked servers in our studio because the company called Elemental that makes streaming hardware we use to stream our shows over the internet, because I have kind of like an internet TV station, Twit, as we can tell, runs all week.tv, and we use the Elemental box, quite an expensive box. What do we pay for the Elemental? $20,000 or $30,000, very expensive box, and it has
600 feet, turn left onto McIntyre Lane.
Ability of streaming out to 3 or 4 different providers, YouTube Live, Twitch, Mixer, Ustream, all of those. And that's what we use. Well, according to
Turn left onto McIntyre Lane.
Bloomberg Business Week, that's actually how people found out about this. The Supermicro motherboard that was used on the Elemental was discovered by Amazon Secure.
Continue on McIntyre Lane for a half mile.
They reported the discovery to U.S. authorities, and I'm quoting Bloomberg Business Week, quote, sending a shudder through the intelligence community. The servers from Elemental could be found everywhere. The Mormon Church, the Department of Defense data centers, the CIA's drone operations, Navy warships, and Supermicro put motherboards in many other servers all over the world. This was terrifying. This is again according to Bloomberg Business Week. U.S. investigators found the chips had been inserted during the manufacturing process. 2 officials say by operatives from a unit of the People's Liberation Army. At Supermicro, China's spies appear to have found a perfect conduit for what U.S. officials now describe as the most significant supply chain attack known to have been carried out against U.S. companies, except they're all denying it. They're all denying it now. They're saying, what is Bloomberg Business Week talking about? Bloomberg Business Week, quote,
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Forest Road.
numerous sources in the intelligence community and at Amazon and at Apple, but they didn't quote them by name. Very common practice. Somebody in the intelligence community isn't going to say, hey, it's me. They're going to go to Bloomberg Business Week and say,
Turn left onto Forest Road.
this is deep. There's a variety of phrases they'll use. Deep background, off the record. Sometimes they'll just say, and I think this is the case here,
Continue on Forest Road for 1.5 miles.
use this, please do. We want the world to know, but don't quote me. One official from the, again, U.S. intelligence community, according to Bloomberg Business Week, you notice I keep saying that, says investigators found it eventually affected almost 30 companies, including a major bank, government contractors, and the world's most valuable company, Apple. Apple had planned to order, get this, more than 30,000 Supermicro servers in 2 years for a global network of data centers. 3 senior insiders at Apple, according to Bloomberg Business Week, say that in the summer of 2015, it too found malicious chips on Supermicro motherboards. Apple severed ties with Supermicro the following year. And that we know is true. That's fact. For what Apple says was unrelated reasons. Okay, so that's the story, explosive story that came out on Thursday. The next day, Apple, Amazon, Supermicro, and the Chinese government strenuously denied the allegations. Apple released a statement later in the day, as did Supermicro. It is a bizarre and, for those of us on the outside, incomprehensible conflict. Bloomberg Business Week is a very reliable source, and frankly, I credit their reporting. You're not going to get reporting from a variety of different companies and the U.S. intelligence community that's the same lie. So what's going on? And I'm reading an article by Zach Whitaker for TechCrunch, who covers cybersecurity and national security. He's done it for 5 years, including at CBS. He says, even with this story, my gut is mixed. Where reporters across any topic and beat try to seek the truth, tapping information from the intelligence community is near impossible. For spies and diplomats, it's illegal to share classified information with anyone and can be punishable by time in prison. As a security reporter, you're either incredibly well-sourced or downright lucky. More often than not, it's the latter. You're just lucky. Naturally, Whitaker writes, people are skeptical of this spy chip story. On one side, you have Bloomberg's decades-long stellar reputation and reporting acumen. A thoroughly researched story, citing more than a dozen sources, some inside government, some out, and publishing enough evidence to present a convincing case. On the other side, the sources are anonymous, because some of this was classified. So accountability is difficult. And then you have the denials from the companies themselves. But, Whitaker points out, these are not bulletproof in outright rejection of the story's claims. They're subject to legal counsel and government regulation. So what to believe? I wish I could tell you. I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows. It seems highly unlikely to me that Bloomberg would have independent sources in a variety of places reporting the same story if it weren't true. So I guess that's what I'm going with. But all is not clear here. All is not clear. What do you think? Maybe. Hey, are you an insider at a three-letter agency over there in McLean, Virginia? Tell me. What should we believe? I think maybe the details aren't as important as the fact that we know this kind of stuff is probably happening. Most of what we use is made in China. The problem is it's kind of hard to put hardware, a chip, on a motherboard and not be detected. That seems a little difficult. I don't know. 8888 Ask Leo, that's our phone number. This is the strangest story I've ever seen. Bloomberg even has pictures of this rice-sized chip. What is going on? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, I'm going to throw one more little thing. Now, actually, Alex, come back here. Alex Gumpel, who works with the Elementals. You're our flow master. He's the guy who's designed to keep the stream flowing. Amazon in its... Interesting. They said, our audit covered previous versions of the Elemental appliances. By the way, Amazon bought Elemental. That's why Amazon was so interested. These vulnerabilities have been publicly disclosed. Because Elemental appliances are not designed to be exposed to the public internet, our customers are protected against the vulnerability by default. That's not accurate, because Elementals, the whole point of the Elemental is that they go out on the public internet, right? They send our data out over the public internet. Yeah, we go internally to control it, but do our Elementals not connect to the public internet? I know they're supposed to connect directly to Ustream and Twitch and Mixer, but they're sitting on the public internet. So this puzzles me that Amazon put something that is provably not the case in their statement. Now, the reason I point this out is that one of the theories is that the government said, well, you must...
In 800 feet, turn left onto Woodside Avenue.
Deny this. You have no choice. This is classified information. And you have to just say no. You have to just lie. Now, these are, by the way, these are very detailed lies from both Apple and Amazon.
Turn left onto Woodside Avenue.
On and on and on. Never, no, we didn't, no. But this in here, in this part, because Elemental appliances are not designed to be exposed to the public internet, our customers are protected against this vulnerability by default, is actually untrue. All right, I'm going to stop on this one, but it's
Continue on Woodside Avenue for 3/4 of a mile.
You chew on that, Alex, and see, is there any way that I guess it depends on the use case, but we put ours on the public internet. I hate to say it. We don't control it on the public internet. We have a private dashboard to it, but that doesn't mean a chip. The whole point being that if you put a chip on the motherboard in here that then went out on the public internet and connected with Chinese servers to download software and modify the operating system, that could absolutely happen. It's connected. Apple says, we have never found malicious chips, hardware manipulations, or vulnerabilities frequently planted in any server. Apple never had any contact with the FBI or any agency about such an incident. We are not aware of any investigation by the FBI, nor are our contacts in law enforcement. It's a complete denial. ask Leo. It's a mystery. I like mysteries. Not particularly about getting hacked by the Chinese, but I like mysteries. Kim Schaffer, hello.
Morning.
Just wanted to warn you, you might have one of those super micro motherboards or somewhere in there, because I think we purchased a few of them in our time. I want to find one that's not in service so we can look.
All
So we
right.
can take it apart. So just keep your eye peeled.
I will.
I guess we could take ourselves offline for a little bit.
That would be pretty hard here.
People wouldn't be unhappy. Plus, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. So,
So, you want to start with your favorite topic?
sure.
Facebook. Tom in Carson, California, seems to be locked out of his, and it's wanting his two-factor authentication.
Yes.
But he's saying he never turned that on, so doesn't know why he's locked out.
Okay, I'll tell them all about it.
All right.
Thank you, Kim Schaffer. Hello, Tom. Good to talk to you. Welcome.
Good to talk to you. Listen to you every weekend. Really haven't had a need to call until now.
Well, I'm glad you called. So 1 week ago, last Friday,
Yeah, they got hacked.
well, they admitted to having been hacked by somebody who figured out a clever way to steal people's accounts. And they stole their accounts by basically stealing this little cookie, this token that Facebook's... You know, when you log into Facebook, you only have to log in for once, and then it stays logged in. Well, the way that works is when you log into Facebook, it stores this little piece of information on your hard drive that's unique to you that says, yeah, that's Tom, that's good old Tom.
In 800 feet, turn left onto Old Mill Road.
New cars in California, yep. Let them in. Then this hack allowed bad guys to grab that little piece of information and use it for themselves. So what Facebook did when it found this is it deactivated 90 million users a week ago Friday. Now, is that about when
Turn left onto Old Mill Road.
we're unable to log in?
Yes, and actually, it's my wife's account. I can still log into mine fine.
So she was one of the 90 million, you weren't.
Yeah. Because I'm very judicious about everything.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do.
We found a faster route via Westbrook Road. Westbrook Road.
Good, and still have your Facebook account stolen. And we believe that actually one of my producers had his account stolen some months ago. Now we believe that's how it happened. So the way Facebook fixes it is by deactivating that cookie. And by the way, that would also log you out of anything you use Facebook to log into. You know, you can use Facebook to log into a lot of other stuff. So she's probably noticed that as well.
Well, yeah, like me, each thing, like Instagram and that sort of thing,
Yep.
each one, we don't log in from Facebook, we use individual login.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Turns out you are good. That was a very smart thing to do, because if they got that token and you had used that token to log into other sites,
Right.
they'd be able to log into you. Now, you have to re-log in, and now they're saying, hey, we want your second factor. Normally what that would be is a text message sent to your cell phone,
Right.
or another Facebook instance that you could use the code from, because there's a code generator in the Facebook app.
Continue on Old Mill Road for 3/4 of a mile.
Right. I've been down that path. Of course, we can't get into her account, and she only logs into Facebook from one thing.
Yeah, but you know, the truth is, even if you had it on the phone, it would have been logged out too. So
Right.
that code generator isn't going to help you.
No, and I tried from mine and generated a code, but
No, it's different. Yeah, that's.
well, I knew that, but I
Yeah.
didn't try it.
Yeah, no, of course. You must use every outlet. So does it at some point in there say, well, I don't have access I know it does. Can't do it that way. What else can you do? And then at some point it should say, well, we have a phone number on record for you, or does it not?
Well, she didn't, and neither did I, but needless to say, I had gone in and put one in mine. Just like I did
Yeah.
with
By the way, we've also learned that Facebook, once you put that phone number in there, uses it to sell ads against you. So thank you, Facebook. What a nightmare Facebook has turned out to be.
Yes.
But you have to use it. We're blackmailed into this. So it sounds to me like she's going to have to contact Facebook and say, look, I can't. And A number of people have had to do this, and it'll make you jump through hoops. But Facebook is the only one who can fix this mess. Oy, oy, oy. Scott Wilkinson's here. I mean, literally, and we're going to answer some home theater questions next. Scott Wilkinson's here. I mean, literally, and we're going to answer some home theater questions next. Scott Wilkinson is our home theater geek, and he's up here for a special occasion. You're here because... What microphone is Scott on? No, that's a call server. It's call screener. We don't have a mic too, but if you can find one for me, that'd be great. Just shout. So the folks at TCL have another Chinese TV company, the two big ones. Hisense had lent us a while ago a really kind of an amazing 100-inch projector, but it's not your traditional projector where you have the screen on one side of the room and the projector on the other side of the room. The projector's sitting right under the screen. It's what they call a short
In 800 feet, turn right onto Franklin Avenue.
projector. It means it's only about 8 inches away from the screen. And in order to do this, they have to have a special screen that is they said
Turn right onto Franklin Avenue.
Fresnel lens. It actually it's a little prism, so the light comes in from below and bounces straight out.
Yep.
Isn't that wild?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And now this is an updated version they just brought us.
Yeah, you guys had looked at the original a few weeks ago,
yeah.
a couple months ago.
It's a DLP,
Mm-hmm.
and in this case, a laser-based DLP system,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that the illumination source, the light source, is a laser. And in the first one that you guys looked at some time ago, there's one laser in there. It's a blue laser. And it hits a phosphor. Remember CRT TVs?
Yeah.
They used phosphors.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same sort of deal. The blue laser hits a phosphor, which generates yellow light. And yellow light can actually be split into green and red.
I thought yellow was
Continue on Franklin Avenue for 2 miles.
green.
No, it's blue. It's green and red.
Oh, it's blue and green when it's reflective. When it's transmissive,
Correct.
it's blue. It's yellow
Blue.
and red.
It's green and red.
Colors.
Yeah,
They're
colors.
so complicated.
I know. But basically, if you have something that is emitting yellow light,
Yeah.
that can be split into red and green.
Okay. So they've got the blue from the laser,
Mm-hmm.
and then the yellow phosphor, which is then emitting yellow,
Yellow, which is then split into red and green.
So they've got red, green, and blue, which are the three colors you need to do the entire
Correct.
color spectrum.
Correct.
And DLP normally uses what, LEDs for the light? What do they use?
Well,
or fluorescent bulbs?
In a projector, they use either an ultra high pressure lamp.
Those are the things that burn out.
Yes, correct. And in short order too. You have to replace them at a cost of $100 or $200 or $300.
So one advantage of lasers is they last a long time.
Very long. They're typically rated at like 20,000 hours,
Okay.
which at 8 hours a day is, I forget exactly, but it's
Years.
many
Many
years. Yeah.
So this new one, actually I was pretty impressed with the single laser, but the colors were slightly washed out.
Mm-hmm.
This new one has two lasers.
Correct. It has a blue laser and a red laser.
So its red is more accurate.
Well, it's. I wouldn't exactly call it more accurate. We did a lot of measurements.
Brighter.
It is certainly brighter, no question about that. And it's very deep red. It's very saturated red.
Yeah, I was looking yesterday. I snuck in yesterday,
Uh-huh.
but I have to say, now have you calibrated it?
We
You
have.
did.
Mhm.
So I think we had it on the calendar. Did you calibrate it on Thursday night?
Yes, Thursday
Because
night.
I came in Friday morning
Mm-hmm.
because I had to see this thing. It's 100 inches.
Yeah.
Folks, if you've never had a 100-inch screen in your house, you'll get a sense. The good news is the screen, does it fold up? There's ways to get it in the house, right?
Yeah, sure. It must roll.
You don't have to, because you don't have
You
to.
wouldn't fold it.
Okay.
That would be
You
bad.
don't want it creases.
No. But you can roll it up.
You don't have to take the roof off the house.
That's right.
which I mean, it's bigger than your door in some cases.
In certain directions, yeah. I mean, the point of this whole TV is they call it a laser TV. They want it to be a TV replacement, right? So they say, okay, think about buying a 100-inch LCD TV or OLED TV or something.
$100,000.
$100,000 or more easily.
Because I've seen them. I mean, Sharp had them.
Yeah. Plus, they weigh hundreds of pounds.
They had to move it in 740s. The belly of a 747 is so big.
Yeah, that original Panasonic 100-and-something inch plasma. Yeah, exactly.
I showed it on Regis and Keller back in the day.
Yes. Well, in this case, it's so much easier. The screen is obviously it just weighs a few pounds, no big deal. You can hang it on a wall easily, which they did here in the studio.
Yeah, it's kind of like a projector screen.
Yeah,
it's a little more solid.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a projector screen.
But then you put this ultra short throw projector 8 inches from the wall, and then you don't have to worry about walking in the beam of the projector light. You don't even need to be in a dark room. It's really intended to be a living room TV.
Plus, off-angle viewing is remarkable. You
Much
can actually
better.
stand at the side of the screen and it still looks full color. Full. So this 2-laser, I was really impressed with. I thought it was much better.
It looks really good. It does. So basically, you have this red laser that produces the red light, and the blue laser still hits a yellow phosphor from which green is extracted. So you still get red, green, and blue. And
but you get better reds.
Certainly get better reds.
Brighter reds.
For example, the YouTube logo or the Netflix logo, which is red. Man, that red is
too
like,
red.
Wow.
Well, I noticed you turned the red down.
We did.
When you calibrated. Because I was watching the calibrated version, and the strawberries just didn't pop quite so much. And then I went to Vivid.
Oh well.
I have a Vivid setting, and the strawberries pop.
Yeah. But of course, you know me. I'm more into accuracy than I am into, ultimate knock you over the head.
Yeah.
So,
you get your choice.
Yeah, you get your choice, exactly. But the calibrated image looks quite good.
You thought the color rendition was very good.
Oh, yeah.
It labels itself as a 4K high dynamic range, which every set sold today has to be.
Yeah, they do.
I just bought, my mom needs a new TV set. I bought her a TCL, 55 inches, 4K HDR for $327.
Yes.
It's kind of wild what's going on.
Man, the prices are just falling so fast.
Now, this projector TV is not a budget item.
No.
$10,000.
$10,000, exactly. But, as we were mentioning earlier, you take a look at a 100-inch, if you could buy a 100-inch LCD or OLED or something like that, it would be way more than that.
Yeah.
So, you're getting a good deal there in that sense. This TV is best at bright images. The one thing that DLP is inherently not good at is black level and high contrast. And so we watched...
So HDR, that's what HDR is.
Correct.
Right? Black level and high contrast.
Correct. And DLP simply struggles with that as a part of its nature. So, we watched a bit of Black Panther in the dark.
Yeah.
And it has some really dark scenes. And those are not as impressive.
You lose the detail.
You lose some detail. But if you're in a living room with the lights on, you're watching a football game or something, this thing's going to be awesome.
I have to say, I was a little on the fence with the single laser. I like the size, but with this double laser, I want this would be a great TV. And the nice thing is, it kind of goes with your existing TV. Is the projector's a little bigger than
it's
the
a
TV.
big. It's a kind of a big box.
But it goes where your TV goes, and the screen goes where your TV screen would be. So if your TV is on a hutch or something like that, has maybe a 30-inch depth, you could easily hold it. And you wouldn't have to rejigger the room, figure out where to hang a projector or put a projector. I think it's pretty interesting.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Scott, will you want to stick around? We can answer some home theater questions.
Love to.
8888 Ask Leo. We'll do another segment with Scott. If you're on the line to talk about something else, hang on. We will get to you. But let's do some home theater in the next segment.
Let's.
That's Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. But But the screen is not native 4K, is it?
The screen itself doesn't care.
Not the screen, the projector is not native 4K.
It's actually the chip itself, the DLP chip, is half 4K. It has 4.1 million pixels. But because those mirrors that are on that chip can switch so fast, I mean, we're talking.
It's doing some sort of doubling thing?
It's a doubling thing. That's exactly right. Those mirrors can switch
Faster
in like
than your
16
eye.
microseconds.
Okay.
So
So it does
really
2K plus 2K. in
well,
effect.
more than that. The difference between 2K and 4K is actually a factor of 4. There are four times more pixels in 4K than there are in 2K. So this chip, 2K or 1080p, has about 2 million pixels. 4K has about 8 million pixels. And the chip itself has about 4 million micromirrors. But because they switch so fast, they can actually produce 2 different pixels perfectly in the space of a frame.
So
which-
it is a 4K. too.
it really is. It really is. Yes. Yes. From your eye's point of view, it's temporally multiplexed.
Well, there you go. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
that makes sense. Okay.
so
that's
it-
good.
Yeah, it's much better
It's
than
not HDR as a direct view would be HDR.
no. Because
Although I thought the blacks looked pretty good. I mean, I wasn't disappointed.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. We watched Planet Earth. There was some
Oh,
late night
yeah,
escapes.
yeah.
But you're right, not a lot of detail in the blacks.
Not a lot of detail in the darks. And I'm a sucker for black level and detail and
Yeah, yeah.
low level detail, so which is why I like OLED.
Right.
But OLED's expensive.
too.
Exactly. But it's expensive. You know, so this is a really good way to get a very large picture in your house. You know, without having to have a special room and have the projector across the room.
I really want this.
The other thing about it, the screen itself, is that it's what's called an ambient light rejecting screen, ALR screen. So in addition to the Fresnel lens that takes the light coming up at like an 80-degree angle
Right.
and shoots it straight back toward the audience, it also rejects light coming in from other directions. So that means you can have the lights on in the room, and the picture still looks pretty good.
You know, we were just talking about fishing. Those are those emails that you get. They look real. They look like they're from your bank or Facebook or your Aunt Dawn, but they're not. They're designed to trick you into installing malware on your system. And they work. They really work. It's a problem at home. It's a bigger problem in your business. And there are a lot of phishing attacks. We call them spear phishing attacks that are targeting your business. Krylon, a new advertiser. By the way, these guys, Dan, tell us just business. The problem is, it's one of those. When you're phishing training platform, I took it. You can report your phishing tests. He showed me your Amazon website, 1,000 employees in less than a minute. Phishing. These were real things they need. Security awareness training taught by, it's kind of fun, it's taught by a hacker. It starts out very effectively. It's detection training videos with just 600 emails in there. Technical things, social, trying to get how they macros, data, and I was really it shows you actually how hackers work, how they create these emails. And I have to say, knowing what the psychology is goes a long way to helping you stick your emails out. Oh, I know what's wrong. Krylon offers a 1-year security program for companies as small as 25 employees. Get this. This is really important. $395. If you have a small company like mine, I know every employee's going to take this. So I know you've been thinking, how am I going to keep my employees from clicking these links, from answering these emails? It's $395. If you're worried about your mom, your dad, your grandparents, or special friends, they have a single license gift card that will test them with 2 fish tests a month for a full year. Very affordable. Great way to teach your family members or friends how not to get bit. You can never learn all the ways hackers are blind and tricky. Krylon will show your employees the psychology used against them. It's really the best way to do this training. I really love this company. I'm very impressed by the training. I went through it myself. I remember a few things. Krylon.com/tweet. This is what your business needs. Krylon.com/tweet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. I'll talk next hour about the Microsoft Windows update 1809 that they yanked.
What?
They put it out a week ago, last Tuesday. It started pushing out, or was going to push out, I think, on Patch Tuesday. And people started complaining that it's deleting their documents, and in some cases even their profiles. And so Microsoft quickly yanked 1809. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now we can't resist the opportunity. Scott Wilkinson's in town. He's our home theater guru. It's nice to have you. And he also is up here to review TV that Hisense sent us. So you didn't have room to put it in your house.
Sadly not.
So I said, well, I guess we have to. We'll set it up in our studio if you insist. 100-inch projection, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I have to say, it is really beautiful. It's a little pricey. It ought to be beautiful for $10,000.
Yes.
But Scott's up here reviewing it. In fact, you and our buddy Robert Heron,
Yep.
Heron Fidelity, both are screen calibrators and AV reviewers. Robert has his own podcast with Patrick Norton, AV Excellence, and so you and he came on last Thursday
night, yeah.
to glom on it.
Yeah, Robert was very kind to bring his calibration equipment because it's a little bulky for me to take on the plane. So he very graciously agreed to. He wanted to see this thing too because he had seen the original one that was here in the studio. And
yeah, we had him review that one.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So he came up and because he lives relatively locally, and we did the calibration Thursday night. We stayed up pretty late because.
How long does calibration take?
Well, you typically for SDR, standard dynamic range, and high dynamic range, you want a lot of couple hours.
Taking a bunch of measurements.
Yeah, a bunch of measurements.
And how easy was it to set? So different TVs have different capabilities for customizing, right?
Well, that's true. Most of them offer the same set of controls, roughly. Certainly the basic user controls that anybody can tweak. And then there are the calibration controls, which are usually now in this user menu, so anybody can tweak those too.
Sometimes they used to be hidden in some cases.
Correct. They were in a service menu, which you had to enter a special code on the remote.
Right.
You don't really have to do that much anymore. But
what do you change? What are the settings?
Well, the settings are, there are two basically. There's one for what's called white balance or grayscale, which is what color of white? You might think white, wait a minute, white is white. There's no color in white.
It's white.
Well, there is. I mean, you might have a white that's slightly magenta. Or slightly...
Ask your wife, she'll tell you. Oh, no, that's too yellow of a white. It's too blue of a white.
Exactly.
It's too red of a white.
So what you want is, there's a very clearly defined standard for what the color of white that was used when the content was created. So the movie producers, the movie colorists, and the director all get together around a reference monitor that has been calibrated to be a particular color of white and to have particular colors of red, green, and blue.
It's not always white. It could be a more ivory white.
It could.
Yeah, a warmer white. I know.
Turn right onto Purdue Avenue, then turn left onto Seminole Avenue.
Although, again, there's a standard.
Yeah, but they don't always use it. I remember in The Godfather, the cinematographer took the film, the exposed film, and dragged it through T. He wanted to make it... He said at the time...
I never heard that.
He said at the time, it was a very nerve-wracking thing, because I had to do it to the exposed, the shot film, the done film.
Man.
So if I somehow screwed it up, there goes the movie.
There's a 7-minute slowdown on Ramapo Valley Road in 0.5 miles. You are still on the fastest route.
Godfather, the cinematographer took the film, the exposed film, and dragged it through T. He wanted to make it... He said at the time...
I never heard that.
He said at the time, it was a very nerve-wracking thing, because I had to do it to the exposed, the shot film, the done film.
Man.
Turn left onto Seminole Avenue.
So if I somehow screwed it up, there goes the movie. But there is now in recent redigitizations of it, they've corrected it. It's not as dark and as he
Right,
was.
right.
But that was, remember that first scene in The Godfather? I was sitting
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Hiawatha Boulevard.
office in the mansion. It's his daughter's wedding day, and he's
Yeah.
receiving, supplicants.
Right,
Come
right.
to me in the bed, my daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
And it's a very dark scene. And in the original, it's almost, you would like it. so dark.
As long as I was watching it on an OLED.
You
or
would
something,
like
yeah.
it. You can barely see anything. I'd like to see it now in HDR.
Mhm.
There have been remasters.
I think they did
they're a little
remaster
bit-
them.
Yeah, they're a little bit less dark. And I don't know if... I know that Francis Ford Coppola, the director, was involved in the remastering, so I don't know.
Turn left onto Hiawatha Boulevard, then turn right onto Franklin Avenue.
That's
If
always
that's-
a tricky thing, isn't it? When the original director or the visionary who came up with a movie isn't involved in the remastering,
Right.
how do you know you're still remaining true to the creator's concept?
So the creator's the one that chooses what white.
Yeah.
Or so it's not a Pantone. He doesn't just say we'll use Pantone 0.
No, it's a standard that
Turn right onto Franklin Avenue, then turn left onto Ramapo Valley Road.
is called D65,
Okay.
which is a point on a graph that is in the white area of all the different colors that we can
If
see.
you've ever seen, you can Google this, a color gamut chart.
Otherwise known as CIE chromaticity diagram.
And it looks like a triangle most of the time,
Mhm. Yeah.
roughly like a triangle. Each point being red, green, and blue.
The points of the triangle being red, green, and blue. Yeah.
And so that's what they're messing with.
And then there's the white point in the center of the triangle.
Yeah, where that white point is.
And exactly where that white point is and exactly where those red, green, and blue points are determines how what the picture will look like.
So,
And so
when,
that's
you're
what the
when you're calibrating, though, do you know? Well, I guess you have some source material that you know that it's calibrated to.
Well, there are standards, and the software that we use, which is called CalMan from SpectraCal, has that programmed in. So basically, you see on the screen a little chart, and it shows you where the white point is, and then if you move the controls in the TV around, you see that point actually move around.
Is that the first thing you fix? Is get that point?
Yes, the white point is the first thing you get correct. And you have to get it correct not only at one luminance level, but at all luminance levels, from dark to bright, right? Because the white point at 20% or 20% of peak white has to be the same color of white as 80%.
Wow.
So you do the grayscale. It's called the grayscale. You do that first, and then you do the colors. And once you get those all set up, then you start looking at real content and see how it looks.
Wow.
So that's why it takes some time.
Yeah. And you don't trust your eyes.
No, because everybody's eyesight is a little different. And so what I see as a particular color, you'll look at and say, well, it's a slightly different color to me.
So the software and hardware, does this hardware like attached to the screen?
No, it's a meter. It's sort of like a
aimed at
camera.
the
It's
screen.
aimed at the screen. Yeah.
I've seen, in the old days, you'd see with computer screens, people would calibrate.
Turn left onto Ramapo Valley Road, then turn right onto the ramp to I-287 South.
Mhm.
I used to call them screen suckers. They would just
Yeah,
go right
right.
on the screen.
Right, the spider is a good
Spider,
example of that. Yeah, there are those with a direct view screen that they slap right onto the screen, and then you can have the lights on. With a meter that you're farther away
Turn
from the
off all
screen,
the
you have to
lights.
turn off all the lights, which is why we did it at night.
Yeah. So it's really dark.
Yeah.
That studio, you don't have to worry. There's no window.
Well, that's true. Except there is a porthole in the lights.
Oh, you're right. The light would leak in.
Yeah.
So you did it at night. You pitch black,
Mhm.
and you're aiming this thing at the screen,
Mhm.
and then the software is running. The thing is connected to a laptop via USB. The software is running.
Yep.
And then you mess with the little dials on the TV to get it.
Dials in the old vernacular, yes.
The sliders in
Yeah,
the TV,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you have to use a remote to do
You
that.
have to use the TV's remote to do that. Exactly.
And you just
Yep,
so
yep.
it's
And you
perfect.
watch the little point move towards its target. The target is indicated.
So all of that would say, oh, it's perfect. But I looked at it, I thought, well, that looks red's look all washed out, and my eyes are spoiled.
Well, with OLED, your eyes are spoiled.
I want vivid. Sky Scott Wilkinson's our home theater geek. His review of this TV in full will appear on our Screensavers show later this afternoon. We're going to record that. You could actually watch it if you want as we record it. We let people watch. It's not the show, it's the live recording of the show before editing.
Yes.
You can watch the stream at twit.tv/live. We'll be streaming to you via our Chinese hacked elemental. So you're safe. You can watch it safely. I'm worried about us, though.
Yeah.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, won't call us relatives.
Turn right onto the ramp to I-287 South.
The difference is, so my LG, somebody's saying as long as you're paying that much, just get an LG OLED. But the difference is my OLED is only 60 inches or 65 inches.
Yeah.
This makes a big difference. They even make, they're going to, I think, they said they were going to make a bigger one. Right?
Yeah, I think they're going to.
Head southwest on Ramapo Valley Road. In 800.
120.
Head west toward I-287 South. In 800.
Know what that'll cost, but
Well, it won't be that much more. It'll be a little more, but
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it's a projector, so
yeah, it's going to be the same.
Bigger pretty easily.
Roughly the same projector. You can
Yeah.
make a slightly bigger screen. It costs a little more in
It's
material.
more for the screen. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But you're right. The screen size difference is tremendous. Really important.
Noticeable.
Very noticeable.
And if you have, so we have a great one, as you know, in our living room.
Yeah.
It's a super high ceilings, 18-foot ceilings.
Yeah.
And it's a big room that ends up going into the kitchen and the back. So it's all one giant room. So for us having a screen that big, we have now a 70-inch TV in there.
Right.
But we're 15 feet away, so it's
Exactly.
dwarfed. And and so I
This
really
100-inch would be great in that room.
Well,
Man.
maybe for Christmas. My wife will buy it for me. Honey,
I just want a 100-inch TV.
Actually, I said, as long as I get it in time for the Super Bowl and the Academy Awards, I'm okay. And if we do get it, you're coming up for the Oscars.
Yeah,
all right?
I will. You bet.
You're going to have to come up and enjoy. We'll have an Oscar party.
I love it. I love it. I will do that for sure.
So let's go ahead.
Fortunately, the Oscars dropped their idea of adding a category called the Best Popular Movie.
Yeah,
Remember
I think that was right, actually. Because
Yeah.
there's already People's Choice Awards and stuff.
Yeah.
We want to know what the Academy thinks. That's because the Academy's all right there. That's who wins. Although that's changing. I think that's changing. Do you want to take some questions?
Sure, happy to. I got one here, in fact, from Lee's7676. Is Vizio going to start installing OTA over-the-air tuners again in their 65-inch 4KP model monitors? And we have a great view of Mount Wilson in our home. Yes, indeed.
Mount Wilson's where the antennas in
Where
LA
the
are.
where the OTA over-the-air antennas are, broadcast antennas are in LA. That's right. And Vizio
Merge onto I-287 South, then take exit 57.
has, in fact, put tuners in their TVs again. They took them out in 2016, and people complained bitterly, and so they put them back in. So
Isn't that interesting? Because I've always said what I really want is just the dumbest monitor you can give me.
Yeah.
I will add the intelligence. I will add
the tuner, right?
And then maybe that's a video file point of view. But
It is. No
most
question
normal
about
people
it.
just want a TV.
Yeah.
Give me a TV that works.
Yeah, and for surprisingly, I found it a little surprising that a lot of people wanted the tuner in the TV.
Yeah.
Because you can get live TV now from streaming,
Right.
From Sling, from YouTube, from Hulu. That there's a number of live TV streaming providers, but
And anybody who has a cable box has a tuner.
yeah,
So.
well, they have a cable tuner. They don't necessarily have an OTA.
Right. Yeah. Maybe is OTA still that?
Surprisingly, it surprised me.
Yeah.
But Vizio saw the writing on the wall and said, okay, we're going to put them back in.
Well, they were one of the few to take them out.
Correct.
So.
Correct. And they saw
They
the
took
error
a
of their
little-
ways.
yeah,
Yeah.
no chance. So yeah, I bought my mom a TCL. It has Roku. It's HDR 4K.
Was it
55 inches?
Was it the 6 series, or do you remember
It's
the
probably,
model?
it was probably, it's a cheapie.
It's a cheapie. Okay. Well,
But
it's even
she's okay. I mean, she's 85. I don't think she's really going. This picture. Let me see what I got. I'll tell you. She said, I'm gonna get a new TV. What do you recommend? So I'm looking on Amazon, and at $300, that's kind of an impulse buy.
almost. Yeah.
It's like. So I said, well, we'll talk later about what to get. It's the 55S 405.
The S. Okay, so it's a step down from their flagship, but that's fine.
Well, no, I think that's fine for her. And what I like is it has Roku. She loves the Roku. So I got another TCL, and she really loves the Roku built in. But yeah. So.
Plus, it doesn't mean. I mean, sure, you could buy a Roku box out, put it connected to the TV, but then that's two different.
No, it's too complicated.
Too complicated.
Yep.
So you put Roku in the TV. I think that's what TCL had.
Yep. And it's a direct LED. 3840 by 2160, 120 hertz refresh rate. It's got 802.11 AC, dual band MIMO. I mean, I guess to the panel is what the sacrifice is not as good a panel.
Right. And probably if you say it's direct lit rather than edge lit.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised at that. I thought their lower end TVs are less than top
Direct lit
end.
is better than
Absolutely direct better than edge lit. Yeah. Now it might not have local dimming. So
I don't see fall.
You don't see.
Take exit 57, then keep right at the fork.
So probably not. So
HDR10.
Not Dolby Vision probably.
Not Dolby Vision.
The highest, the R series, you have the S series, the R series has Dolby Vision as well.
Right.
So that's one reason. Right. Plus it has fog, which means the LEDs behind the screen are divided into little zones, and if part of the picture is bright, those LEDs brighten up, and if part of the picture is dark, those LEDs darken, and you get a better perceived contrast. But that costs more money because it's more processing.
Keep right at the fork.
Right. It's what I recommend if you can afford it. But if
Oh, you're gonna be
again,
fucking
your
kidding
case
me.
with your mom, it's probably fine.
Continue on Skyline Drive for 3 miles.
She's not back there. And it has an app, so she
Head west towards Skyline Drive.
headphones into her phone and use the app.
That's
There's
great.
a lot to be said for it.
In 800 feet, make a U-turn at West Oakland Avenue.
TCL and Hisense,
I think they're selling coast to coast because they want to get there. That's my thought.
Well,
They just don't have a brand name.
and I think they're doing really well. I think that they're a huge company. In China, they're like number 3 or 4 or something like that. Really, really big company. So I think they're doing a good job. And they do want to get into the U.S. market, no question.
Yeah.
Which is why Hisense set U.S. TVs.
Make a U-turn at West Oakland Avenue.
Protectors, you know.
Thank you, iSense.
Thank you.
And if you've got a Chinese channel,
Yeah.
I know. Or maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they're so cheap. They're trying to get them in every home in the country.
Head southwest on West Oakland Avenue. Continue.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Well, they can listen in to my mom. I don't think she's saying anything.
Right.
But this Bloomberg story says that it's industrial speakers that want to get into companies because they want to
Just to get their secrets. Yeah. Let's see. PDO is looking at a TCL 65-inch 6 series. Great TV. Should I buy now or wait for their 2019? Well, this is the perennial question, isn't it?
And we're getting close, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, we're going to see new models at CES. And then those will come out sometime in the spring or summer of next year. So the question always is, do you buy what's here now, or do you wait until the next one? And then the same question comes up next year. Do you buy this one, or do you buy the one that's going to come out in 2020? I think if you need a new TV, buying one now is a perfectly good thing.
Yeah.
No problem with it.
Yeah.
There may be some new feature or something. There may be. Now, the big thing that we hope to see at some point in the next year or two is HDMI 2.1, which is the next version of HDMI. And it could potentially have faster bandwidth and several other features. And there are a lot of people saying, oh, I'm going to wait and not buy a TV or an AVR or anything unless it has HDMI 2.1. Well, that's going to be another year or two before that actually gets into the market. So if you can wait that long, then fine, wait that long. If you really need something now, I wouldn't hesitate.
Good to know. Scott, we're going to go back.
Okay.
I'll go get lunch. Let's play with the TV.
I'm going to go play with the TV.
Go watch TV.
All right.
Thank you, Scott Wilkinson.
You bet.
Home Theater Geek. hey, how are you today, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. I'm talking, the tech guy. So I sound like, what is that, Mary Tyler Moore? And, the guy in Ted Knight, right? Hello, Mary. The tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888. Hello, Ted. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Microsoft has paused the rollout. They call it a pause. ZDNet says pulls, yanks, kills the rollout of the big feature update they put out on Tuesday. It's called 1809 because it was slated for September 2018. So yeah, 1809. The spring update was 1803 for March. It came out in May. Early October is pretty good for 1809. They've been beta testing it heavily. This is the thing that baffles me. They test these things on the Windows Insider program with millions of users in all conceivable scenarios. They have more data. Apple does this too now, and it's really a great thing, I think, because, well, in theory anyway, you're testing it so thoroughly, there should not be any problems. The support document updated today, Microsoft said it's halting the rollout because users complained that this new version, this feature update, it's a big update, it's one of the twice yearly big updates, deleted files after the update. We paused the rollout, said Microsoft, quote, for all users as we investigate isolated reports of users missing some files after update. Now, one of the reasons Microsoft does a staged rollout is just for this, just in case. So, they have a weird system. As of Tuesday, you could go to Windows Update on your machine, if you have a Windows 10 machine. You could go to it, and it would say, yeah, there's an update. Microsoft calls those people seekers. So if you're seeking an update, it'll say, yeah, I have it. But it won't push it to you right away. It won't say, hey, I have an update. So probably, let's hope most of you have not yet updated. The problem is people listen to this program, so all the geeks I know are can't say, oh, I can't wait until I get the new version of Windows is here. And so I, like everybody else, installed it. I don't think I lost any files. Now I'm worried. I'm going to go check. Because, the last thing you do is go see if all your stuff's there. It seems to be working very well. I upgraded it. Let's see. Surface Go. Microsoft's a little tiny one. The Surface Studio, Microsoft's big one. And this Lenovo that's sitting in front of me, Lenovo T470S. All of which upgraded, I think, without problems. So, it's, it's hard to say exactly what's going on. There have been other issues, incompatibilities with Intel display audio device drivers, the task manager not showing correct CPU usage. But the biggest problem, according to ZDNet, is with deletion of user files in the documents. Here's on the Microsoft support forums, a guy named Robert Zico says, I've just updated my Windows using the October update. I deleted all my files of 23 years, 220 gigabytes. Let me just, now I'm worried. Let me just check my documents. And just to see, yeah, everything's there. Everything's there. In fact, there's stuff I wish weren't there. I'm trying to... So, my stuff's still there. Is yours? Did you update on Tuesday or since? Check that documents for me. Users have been investigating ways to recover their deleted files, but without success, according to ZDNet. Some users reported on the Microsoft support forum that the Recover software, which I've recommended in the past, it's like Recover, but it's Recover, R-E-C-U-V-A. It's really not like Recover at all. R-E-C-U-V-A, which is a free program, was able to recover some files, but only in some cases. Microsoft apparently had a similar problem in April when it put out 1803. I didn't know that. So, don't know what's going on. But do know that Microsoft's taking it seriously enough that it's saying, nope, we're not going to put that out. I have seen some complain that not only does it delete files in your documents folder, it deletes entire profiles, which would be really even much worse because your profile is your login, your account. To delete that would be essentially to delete you. So this is a fairly serious issue, and again, why is this coming up? I don't understand. They millions of people tested this program. They should have known. I don't understand how they don't know. Dave, Sioux City, Iowa. Hi, Dave. Thanks for hanging on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm a little croaky.
Uh-oh. Well, what can I do for you?
I think I have a question that is probably pretty widespread interest. We've got a home network, and it has the tendency to drop individual computers off of the network so they can't see each other, regardless of what the shared situation is on each one. It has, I've got quite a few devices on the network, but
In 800 feet, turn left onto Legion Street.
it hasn't seemed to affect this situation. In the
So
old,
what is it that these devices suddenly are no longer on the internet, or is it that your file shares are dropping?
no, the file share is the issue.
Turn left onto Legion Street, then turn right onto Lakeside Avenue.
It can all find the internet all the time without a
So
problem.
they're still connected, and they're still on the network, but the file shares are getting dropped.
That is,
And you're using, to do the file sharing, you're using Microsoft's file sharing system.
yes. In the old days, in XP, I've got one XP machine still on the thing there. You'd have to go to the work group to find the rest of the computers on there. The Windows 10 days here it's not designated.
Yeah, they've changed how the whole thing works. And I presume that now that you're in Windows 10, you kind of disconnected and reconnected just to make sure.
Yes, at times, if I reboot them or the system goes down for some reason, power loss or something, comes back up, and usually you can see them, but it seems like if the machines are idle for a while and you're not accessing the shared function,
It just goes away.
you tend to forget where they belong. Yeah. Now this is all DHCP too. DHCP designation rather than
Yeah, you're not using static IP addresses for each
Correct,
device.
correct. Yeah.
And by the way, that might be one way to do it. I wonder if this shouldn't happen, but it could be that you're getting new leases. What? So this is on Wi-Fi?
No. In fact, 6 PCs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PCs.
Or wired?
4 PCs are hardwired.
What are you doing in there? How can you get a lot of hardware?
Several workstations, let's call it that.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
But one by the relaxation kit,
Yeah.
and
They're
one.
hardwired, and
Turn right onto Lakeside Avenue.
you're sharing the files from a server. Where are the shares, or they're just talking to one
No,
another?
shares would be between individual computers.
So one computer talking to another computer. That's hard drive.
That's what the actual issue would be. Yeah. One of them tends to have a lot more photos on it than the other.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Wanacue Avenue.
So you kind of want to access that one.
So this is what we call peer-to-peer equals, and somebody's saying in the chat room, yeah, this is a known problem with 1803 on the peer-to-peer file sharing, and that what you might want to do is set up one as a server, kind of centralize it, and have all the machines connected to a central server. In fact, this is what I generally do. I don't have any experience with this peer-to-peer sharing because I just bought an NAS, get a big bunch of storage, put it all there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm looking at what other people are suggesting in the chat room.
Yeah.
Another person saying, is this all Windows 10 or are you mixing 10 and XP?
There's only one XP. The rest of them are 10 except for the Mac.
Oh, and there's a Mac. And the Mac is using SMB for the sharing?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably.
Not a Mac person.
Yeah. I wonder, Dan VM, who said, yeah, I had this problem with 1803, said I had to edit my host file with fixed IP addresses. I wonder if fixed IP addresses would help. That'd be the first thing I'd try. Instead of using DHCP, I'd assign each machine. Now, you're going to have to keep track of this because you can't have collisions, obviously. But assign each machine a sequential, 192.168.1.10.1. Usually I don't do them next to each other. I do like 1.10, 1.15, 1.20, 1.
Sure.
And the idea, then you have to write this down. Although it'll be in your router, it'll be a table. So if you forget, you'll be able to figure it out. But also name the machines so that you know which machine is which. And then the other thing is somebody saying, the XP might be part of the problem. You might want to try it with the XP not on the lips.
I will
Turn right onto Wanacue Avenue.
that one's getting eliminated pretty quick anyway. But this problem has continued from a traditional Netgear router, and then I upgraded everything on a Google mesh router system.
Good. The other thing somebody's saying, I don't know if this is true, but Twisted Mister's pretty reliable, is he says you should make the router the default DNS server. Not, normally it's your ISP, if it's Comcast 75.75. He said, no, make your router the gateway, 192.161.1.1 or 100, depending on what your router is. Make that the DNS, and the router will pass it along. But he says that will help. Twisted Mister also says desktops running in workgroup only allow 5 connections. So that may be the other problem, is you don't have enough. If you have that many machines, you need to have a server in the workgroup, because then you can have 10 connections.
All right, okay.
So that might be... No, Twisted Mister's very reliable. Not merely pretty reliable, very reliable. He's actually giving me the most information here, and it seems like he knows what he's talking about. Knows whereof he speaks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, good luck.
Great, well, thank you.
Is it your business office, or you just like having computers everywhere?
No, it's at the home, and I've got a genealogy set up down the basement of that. Two computers running. Got a laptop by the TV.
Got a lot of horsepower.
And,
That's awesome. I think a NAS it might be time to get a NAS. What I do is I have a common documents folder that all my machines have, and it's synced from the NAS. So the NAS is the source of it, and all the machines get a copy of it. You could put the music folder, whatever folders you want, some machines have access to. Put that all in a NAS, and it never drops for me. It's always there. It's very reliable.
Sure. Well, but this is an ongoing issue, because you get one computer and load it up with folders, and you take the time to sort them.
So you do a NAS, because then it'll automatically sync.
Another computer.
I know. Do a NAS. Solve it. Hey, it's nice to talk to you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Take care, Dave. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to call and talk tech with me. 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. And we had a long conversation off the air about getting this network working, and all of that would be encapsulated in the show notes, which are free and always available at techguylabs.com. Thomas, Vancouver, Washington. Beautiful part of the country. Hi, Thomas.
Oh, Leo, yeah, it is really nice out here. The forests are great. Oh, yeah. Me too. I love living up here. So I have a couple of questions. One of them is about, other one is about the recent patch, 1809, but sounds like, if I heard you carefully, that the patch has been paused.
Yes, you can't get it anymore. So it's a good question. The question is, at this point, well, okay, when's Microsoft going to fix it and put it back on the line? And the truth is, because it's a feature update, it's not a security patch. This isn't a crisis.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Ringwood Avenue.
Microsoft takes their time to release these. They test for months. In fact, they're testing the next one. They're calling it now the first half 2019. So it's 19H1. And they're testing it already in the Insiders program. So they test for months. And so there's no rush to get this. It just adds a few new features. And not even, I think, in this case, seems anything too significant. So, you know, we geeks like to get, you know, new stuff whenever possible, especially if it's free. In this case, maybe we'd be smart to even after Microsoft puts it back out, wait a little bit. As I said, I don't have any problem, but some people do. No hurry, in other words. Yep.
Yeah. Another little additional thing about Windows before I move on to
Sure.
common question. Recently I have experienced like random bits of like my file not being able to save. Like I use Camtasia, and there was like this one recent moment where Windows Defender locked my Camtasia and used prior to my documents or any of my libraries folders and my OBS because I'm a video production hobbyist and I use those kind of software. That's my video nice.
Camtasia and OBS are commonly used to do screen capture, often in gaming situations. And so what's Defender saying? You can't save this file?
It's just like this. It did it like a boss. I forgot what the notification said. It says on Camtasia from running a file. I tried the procedure again, and the file was just fine. Same with OBS, but I have to restart my computer in order for me to make it.
That's interesting. Are you running as a limited user or a standard?
Turn right onto Ringwood Avenue.
I mean, standard user or as an administrator?
Admin. I'm the owner of my computer.
You're the admin, yeah. Well, that is you know, I could see if you were running as a limited user, then it might say, well, you don't have permission to write here. It doesn't sound like it just says it's suspicious. I think, you know, one thing you might want to do is set up a shortcut for Camtasia and OBS to run as administrator. You know, when you right-click on an application, you can actually, the pop-up will give you one of the options, run as administrator.
Yeah.
And it may be that those apps need more permissions. If they're run as administrator, I don't think Defender would block. Defender would say,
Continue on Ringwood Avenue for a half mile.
you know, you have the rights to do this. I haven't seen this problem, but I don't use OBS or Camtasia that often. I would also check, obviously, the Camtasia and OBS forums and see if anybody else is having a similar problem, because if it's a common problem, it may also be a configuration issue. It may have something to do with those programs. You know, it's not unusual at all for file permissions to get messed up. And maybe those programs are trying to write their settings, for instance, to a file that they shouldn't have access to, but for some reason the file permissions have gotten messed up and you're not the owner anymore. Try running as a you can simply right-click the application icon and run as administrator just to see if that fixes it. You may have corrupted files, you may have a corrupted file system, you may have a hard drive that has some issues, and the software itself may be damaged. So it might be an interesting idea to reinstall just to make sure it's not that. So there's a few things, a handful of things among the probably hundreds that could have gone wrong. This is the problem. We have these operating systems we use today are so hideously complex that things can go wrong in so many different places. It's not always easy to figure out what's happening. There's a certain amount of, I think there's a certain amount of intuition that goes into solving problems like this. And that intuition is built up over years of solving problems like this. I mean, Microsoft's own issues. I mean, it seems to me, maybe I'm asking too much. It seems to me that if you make an operating system and you test it for 6 months with millions of people, you would not have a problem that it deletes hundreds of gigabytes.
Hey Siri, check my voicemail.
in Ontario, which is one of the largest provinces. It's huge. And I just did a tour of York, Durham, and Headwaters. They actually just created a new, this is kind of promotional. They paid for my way to go, but they have a new audio tour guide, a free audio tour called Temperance and Temptation.
Ooh, I like that name.
And the website is temperanceandtemptation.ca. And actually, I'll tweet it out or put it in the chat room. You can do a self-guided tour. I had no idea. I come here all the time because my wife is from here. It's less than an hour's drive from the airport, 45 minutes actually. You stay at the Hockley Valley Resort. Awesome. There's a winery right next door called Adamo, A-D-A-M-O, and they have the ski hill. I mean, I was really...
So there's the temptation. Where's the temperance?
It's all over. And so there's all different spots you can go to. You know, we took Jack. We have our 2-year-old. You know, so we made it family friendly. But there was a Grand Spirits distillery that had the nicest high chair I've ever seen. It was like, what? And then you go to Lammon's Bakery. You can see the goats.
Now I feel bad. I went to Toronto 1 week a month for years, and I never did any of this.
That's exactly how I felt. I was actually just writing my story, kicking myself, going, listen, I literally been here 100 times, maybe hundreds of times, and we never leave, you know, the metro area, and it's so close. So I highly recommend it. I can't wait to go back. Actually, I just told Natalie this morning. I said, listen, we got to go back and teach Jack how to ski at this ski slope. I mean, it's small, but perfect place to teach someone. And
how fun!
And yeah. So anyway, that's my one of my websites. I have 2 more.
Just Google temperance
because
and temptation.
There it is. And then because the leaves are changing, and we really got lucky because they said the leaves just really started changing this week.
I can see them out your window. I'm looking at Johnny on Skype, and it looks beautiful.
So anyway, here's our website for you. It's SmokyMountains.com/fall foliage. Remember, we had this conversation
last year.
Yes. So it's their new fall foliage prediction map. And so I'm not sure how accurate it is, but they have a little dial on there, and you can slide it, and you can see how the foliage is changing. Am I pronouncing it correct? I remember last year you really gave it to me, and I don't blame you.
I didn't give it to you. I just mentioned.
No, you gave it to me. And I said,
you know, you might want to pronounce it foliage. It's F-O-L-I-A-G-E, foliage. A lot of people say foliage. I don't know why. And see, and he hung up on me. You see, never be mean to Johnny. Okay. So, but is the foliage in the Smoky Mountains really beautiful? I guess it must be.
Well, it's actually not. Just the Smoky Mountains actually have developed this website.
Oh.
It's just a promotional tour for them, but you want to use it for Smoky Mountains. You want to use it for the whole country.
Oh,
so you can see everywhere. So most of the data is coming from NOAA, the National Oceanographic, whatever, right? Atmospheric. I can't remember what the acronym stands for.
National Foliage Administration.
Yeah.
National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Agency.
There we go. Agency. Okay.
It's SmokyMountains.com/fall-foliage-map.
Yes. So actually, and it's saying that New York State is really at its peak.
Oh, man.
I'm right at the very tip here.
Oh.
But I still think there's a little bit more time. It'd actually be interesting to read the chat room after this to see what they think of it, if it's accurate for where they live. I know you have a lot of people.
In 800 feet, turn right onto Rothkin Road.
The East Coast, all over. So it'd be interesting.
There's a little slider on here that shows. So the peak, the best time is the kind of dark red. And so yeah, this is going to be the next couple of weeks are going to really be.
Turn right onto Rothkin Road.
The peak time.
So if you're planning, if you want to see the leaves, and it's a magical experience if you've never witnessed it before, and I know a lot of my friends in Southern California really haven't.
In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Knowles Road.
California's don't know anything about it. Yeah.
It's it's truly magical, and I love going to the Northeast or Canada to experience it.
It's when the carotenoids, the anthocyanins really beef up in the flavanols in the trees. And who doesn't want to see flavanols in the tree?
Turn left onto Knowles Road, then turn right onto Reeve Avenue.
After all.
Yeah, I mean, I took great photos this week. I'm going to post them. I know you're not on social anymore, so I guess you're going to have to see them.
Put them on your blog, JohnnyJet.com, or subscribe to his newsletter. That's what I did. Is I replaced my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with my blog. And I just put them on the blog.
I mean, you're smart because that way you control it. You can't, you have no idea what these other social media giants are going to do, if they're going to.
I just don't like it. That's it.
Turn right onto Reeve Avenue.
I mean, honestly, it's easier for my friends because they just have an Instagram account. They follow everybody they want to see. And maybe they'll see my pictures, maybe not. But, there's all the other stuff in there. I understand why you use Facebook.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Hillside Drive East.
Instagram, but I just don't like these companies.
I mean, it's a great tool for business, especially when I'm in the travel business.
No, you got it.
But I can understand why people are worried about their privacy and things like that.
So that's a good one too, SmokyMountains.com. I guess probably the easiest would be Google Smoky Mountains and fall foliage map.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the chat room, and I'll
follow Johnny on Twitter, @JohnnyJet. And then, did you have an app for us?
Yeah, I do. Do we have time?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, so this one is called the Aurora Forecast app. My Aurora Forecast map, because next month the Northern Light season begins. It's November, February. So this week is all about colors, and so it's available on both iOS and Android. It's highly rated, 4.6 out of 5 on both of them. And you can, tourists can use it, or serious people who want to see the Northern Lights. I've actually never seen them in my life.
I haven't either.
I'm embarrassed to tell you that.
No,
I just don't like cold. I don't like cold, and
turn right onto Hillside Drive East.
Kind of with you.
I like city.
Yeah, you have to kind of go up to Spitsbergen, the Folk to see these things. You have to go up to the.
Well, actually, one of my friends was in Alaska last week, and they posted the most amazing shots, and they said,
continue on Hillside Drive East for a half mile.
It's prime time right now, even though into this app, November and February. And actually, this app shows you where in the world it's best right now. Also, they even have tours. You can, they tell you the current KP index, which I don't even know what KP stands for. I assume you probably do, but I have no idea. Okay. It says find the current KP index and find out how likely you are to see the Northern Lights.
Cool. Very, very cool. Johnny J's.
They'll even alert you if you're in an area where it's going to come out and alert you.
What do they move? They shimmer a little bit, right? Or are they just static in the sky? I've never seen them.
I think it's a little bit of all of the above, but I can't tell you for sure.
I grew up, I don't remember what it was, but I was reading a children's book that had Northern Lights in it, and so ever since it's been kind of romantic in my mind. I've always wanted to see them, but unlike you, I don't want to get cold.
But I'm gonna do it one day.
Someday. Hey, until then, go see the fall foliage, because it is beautiful right now. If you're in New England or Canada, southern Canada, you can see amazing red and yellow leaves. Just so pretty. I grew up in Rhode Island, so I kind of miss that.
I know. I grew up right here in the state next to you, and I took it for granted.
You take it for granted? Yeah, go to JohnnyJet.com. That's his website. You can subscribe to his free travel newsletter there, and you can also follow him on Twitter and Instagram @JohnnyJet. And then, of course, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Leo Laporte.
You too.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. I don't have Johnny. I don't know why I can't. It's just black and it's got. I don't know what it is. Look at that. Oh, because you switched the cameras. Yeah.
I forgot to mention it's Thanksgiving here in Canada.
Oh, October 13th?
It's the second Sunday. Is it the second?
Oh, it's a
second
Sunday.
Sunday in October.
That makes sense.
But we're leaving tomorrow morning early for another country and not the U.S. And
you're gonna miss Thanksgiving.
No, we're actually celebrating it today. So the turkey's in the oven.
Oh,
and it's just like,
how nice.
yeah, my mother-in-law is.
Do you stay at her mom's house? Is that where you stay?
Yes.
How fun. How fun. How cozy. I know winter's coming because I got my Harrington's ham catalog.
Well, you know, we went up to the Happy Valley Resort. They opened the door, and you could just smell the wood fireplace burning, and it was like just brought back so many great memories. But then the next day it was 70 degrees, and then today it's cool. Actually, it's not even that cool today. It's just overcast, and it's supposed to be cold tomorrow. But on Tuesday it's gonna be 76 degrees.
It's like a teenager. Their voice changing. It comes and goes. It's the seasons are changing. It's a little confusing right now. I actually miss that seasonal change, having grown up in it. California is just so. I mean, we have seasons, but they're so subtle.
Very subtle.
Yeah.
Well, you have more than we do down in Southern California.
That's true. Yeah, it's starting to get. It's been a little chilly and rained. It rained pretty hard one day, so we're starting.
That's good. We need the rain.
Oh, I know. That's what anytime it rains, that's what Californians all say. We need the rain. It's good. We need the rain. Well, Johnny, love to you and Natalie and Jack, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank them for letting me have you for a few minutes.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, those Harrington hams are good. They have smoked turkey too. But I think we're gonna get a ham for Thanksgiving. What I do, I get one of them Harrington hams, one of the big bone-in half hams. It's like $70 for a bone-in half ham. It's about 20 pounds or something like that heavy. And I put it in the oven. I wrap it in foil. I do a few brown sugary kind of things. And I put it in the oven. And I cook it low and slow for hours and hours. 10 degrees for 8 hours. Oh.
In 800 feet, turn right onto Glenwild Avenue.
Man. Low and slow is the only way to cook it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 88, Ask Leo, talking high tech.
Turn right onto Glenwild.
Got a question, comment, suggestion? Dave is in Orange County. Dave, Leo Laporte.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Continue on Glenwild Avenue for 3 miles.
Aiding me there with
That was a little creepy. I apologize.
It got weird.
The people on the radio didn't hear it. That's all. It's just,
I know.
It was just you and me, baby. Yeah, talk about low and slow.
Yeah, I learned a lot about ham on hold.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I'm part of the self-employed army, I'm sure, of people that listen to your show because there's no IT department over here.
Yes, you're the IT department.
Yeah, it's you and me, unfortunately. I had a 2011 iMac that was just a workhorse. I put a bunch of RAM into it, and it works great. About a month ago, I turned it on, and it was dead. No power, no nothing, which is just the worst.
Oh, it's a terrible feeling, yeah.
Took it in. Apple says power supply's fine. Your motor is fried.
Oh.
Yeah. $600 over an aisle to use a new one. I said, well, I'm not going to $600 in that. So I bought a brand new, the base level, whatever the specs are, 27-inch iMac. Beautiful, it's fast, it's wonderful. That lasted 2 days. Turned it on, dead.
Oh, no.
Took it back to Best Buy where I got it from, and they didn't really diagnose it much. They just said, well, it's 48 hours old. We've never seen this happen before. We'll give you a new one, right? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's DOA, yeah.
Yeah. Think how much time goes into the two days space.
Oh, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. All the
reinstall. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So I've had this new one now from Best Buy for 3 weeks. Turned it on yesterday. Guess what?
Yikes.
It's behind a brand new power surge.
What kind of surge suppressor?
Yeah.
What kind? What kind?
Oh, let me look. Can you ask for that? Let me look. It's right here.
I mean, it does sound like you're going where I'm going, which just sounds like there's something going on in the power of your house.
We had Edison out this morning. They said it's not us. It's you.
You could be inside the house. That's true. I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. My wife's trying to get the brand off of them, but it doesn't really seem much.
worth getting an electrician out, because that's what you need to do. He needs to test it at the plug, and it could be the polarity's reversed. It could be it's not properly grounded, but it does sound like surges.
It was just the plug here. It could just be the
Yeah. Somebody needs to test it at the plug, absolutely. And then, it's not expensive to get an electrician out, and it's inexpensive to put in even. And you might ask about this whole house surge suppression. Con Ed says it's not theirs, but maybe it is there, and they're the problem. Maybe there are little surges coming down the line, and if there are, whole home surge suppression protects everything in the home. But I have to tell you, an off-brand surge protector, there's not even a brand name on it. You probably got it at the Home Depot, in the rack, right? It ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna do nothing.
Now I know.
No, yeah. So, if you're worried about power problems, what you want is a power conditioning surge suppressor. So not one of those little cheap, basically it's an extension cable with 5 plugs in it, not one of them. In theory it does, it's got a fuse, but you can get, and it'll have a battery in it. Because what it'll do, you'll be running off the battery, and it will condition the power to a clean sine wave, and it will catch surges. It will also catch, and this is also a problem for hardware, low power.
Yes, that's what the Edison guy said. He said, I'm not seeing big rises or drops, but it could be in here, So he's gone.
Yeah. And by the way, a good one, if you plug it in, I mean, you get one, now they're not cheap, they're going to be a couple $100, but you've spent some money on an iMac at this point.
Oh, yeah, my time. I mean, the time I've spent just switching stuff from one iMac to the other is insane.
Yeah. So I think it's probably
conditioner.
Yeah, it's probably worth getting a conditioner. I like Trip Light. Trip Light's one. APCC is another. And the one I most recently got that I'm really liking, I put my network attached storage on it because it is that I really don't want to lose that. And I got one that I really like from it's called Cyber Power, and I'll just tell you what the model number is because I don't remember off the top of my head, but because I believe I bought it on Amazon, I should be able to find it fairly quickly. Yes, here it is. The Cyber Power. It is now what you got to do is figure out how much wattage you need, because the battery is going to protect that. But this thing wasn't too expensive. It was $100. The CP825 AVR LCD, Intelligent LCD UPS system. Now this isn't really, it's not really a super power conditioner, but it certainly will protect from surges and low power. Really,
it's what it is, right? I mean, 3 iMacs in a month. It's power, right?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, it could be static as well, but that seems highly unlikely. Do you have cats?
No. We have a rabbit.
Oh, actually, rabbit. Don't ever let the rabbit in your office.
We don't.
Because they will eat power cables.
Well, trust me.
And you'll either have a dead Mac or a fricasseed rabbit.
Yeah, I prefer the rabbit though.
Just we're having rabbits too, kids.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, yeah, we had pet Bat Bunny, and I let it in my office, and there are a number of rodents love power cable. I don't know why, but they'll just
not get shocked, Leo. How do they?
It didn't. No, it just killed the power. It didn't kill the bunny. And I confess, perhaps, to having some bad thoughts at that point.
Yes, I do. Cyber Power CP825 then is one you would like.
It's one reason I got it. It also talks to the Synology and lets it know, we've lost power, shut down. There's a lot of intelligent. But it does.
Online, I could get it online, Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon for $97. It does offer a simulated sine wave output, which is going to clean up your power a little bit. But most importantly, it's going to give you real surge protection. I have to be honest with you. It is no surge suppressor that is less than a lot can really protect your stuff. But in most cases, they come with insurance that, you know...
This one has insurance. That's why I bought it. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, well, see if you can get them to give you to pony up.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Matt will make me whole, but Matt's not gonna do this forever, you know?
Yeah, it's probably at this point they'll say, you know, dude...
Yeah, it's Apple News. Use Apple Care.
Yeah.
Not the Apple Care. But
Oh, that was smart.
can't,
Yeah, that was
can't
smart.
do that forever either.
I would check. I would honestly spend $100 on an electrician.
No problem.
Come out and check the place.
Yeah, we're gonna do that too.
It will be a problem for other devices too. If you got that.
Yeah, well, it hasn't yet. That's what's so weird.
How old is the house? Is it new?
No, it's a condo. It's probably 25 years old. So
Yeah,
we
who
went
knows?
around and asked neighbors, you know.
Have they had problems?
Nope. Not that we can find it. But the guy that lived here before us was an electrician. So you know.
Oh, you definitely need an electrician in there. Oh, he was messing with it for sure.
Something.
No electrician could just sit and let the way that. No, he's rewired it all.
I bought a mechanic's car one time, and that was. I thought it would be well maintained.
Yeah.
No, it was not. It was ridiculous.
We now know what happened for sure. Oh yeah, you bought an electrician's house. You got something interesting in there.
Yeah, so we'll have to move that guy out to check it inside. The conditioner, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have it.
In 800 feet, turn left onto Weaver Road.
It's just
Okay.
These things are too expensive to just let them.
Nobody knows that these surge protectors are useless. If nothing else.
They're not. The cheap ones aren't really
Turn left onto Weaver Road.
something with the battery.
Yeah. Did not know that.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Leo.
Continue on Weaver Road for 1.5 miles.
Well, hey, how are you today, Leo Laporte? The tech guy, another time. Here to talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, you got your smart watches and all that jazz. 8888, ask Leo. If it's got a chip in it, we'll talk about it. If it's the T2 chip, oh boy, that's the new Macintosh chip that shows up in their new MacBook Pros and their iMac Pro. Yeah, the T2 chip is a ARM-based processor that Apple uses to run the Touch Bar on those MacBook Pros, but also it's for security. The T2 chip it stores your Touch ID for your fingerprint. The MacBook Pros use the fingerprint reader on the Touch Bar for that. It stores, I presume, other information like secret keys. And Apple says it's, we've got to protect it. Which is why we're hearing rumors now that Apple will make your MacBook Pro or your iMac Pro inoperative if you get it fixed by anybody but Apple. Now, they haven't implemented that. This is a story that appeared in the Sun. Rotten Core. The Sun is a kind of a tabloid in the UK. Apple makes your MacBook inoperative if you get it fixed at local repair shops. Not quite true according to iFixit. They haven't at least turned on that capability. iFixit is, I think, a great site. We should mention that they have been a sponsor of our shows, our podcasts. But what their goal in the world is they tear down everything, they take it all apart, and is to generate repair guides for everything, from your MacBook to your McDonald's Happy Meal toy. And then they sell the profit in this for them is selling the parts. Problem is, of late, a lot of companies don't want you to fix their stuff. They won't sell parts. They won't release manuals. They won't tell people how to fix things. And it's actually given rise to a movement called the Right to Repair movement. I wonder where you stand on this. You buy a product, a car, a refrigerator, a tractor, a computer, a phone, and it breaks. Should you have the right to get it repaired by somebody other than the company that made it? In fact, do you even own one of these devices? It's a big deal in the farm states because John Deere, the tractor company, will not let shade tree mechanics fix their tractors. They say, well, there's too much proprietary software in our tractors. And the way they enforce this is interesting. Apple apparently is planning to do something similar, is that the device, after
Turn right onto Macoupin Road. feet, turn left onto Echo Lake Road. Turn left onto Echo Lake Road. Continue on Echo Lake Road for 2 miles.
he was closed. Can have a craving for a frosty. Getting behind the Subaru. I'm not going to get behind anybody else. I don't know how many people are actually watching me right now, but I've already been on the road for 2.25 hours. It usually takes me about maybe an hour to get home. I've been on the road for 2.25 hours right now.
Hello, dearest.
How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
You making it home okay?
Yeah. Well, let me
No
drive.
issues?
Let me drive, all right?
Bye.
Bye.
Software basically, now in Apple, says, well,
I have to find some place to clean the windshield. My wipers are getting all clogged. Pull off into the A&P parking lot because I really don't think I should have had that soda before I left. Subaru. All right, I'm going off the air. All right. Stop for a bathroom break. Very much needed. We're on our way home again. Starts to get fun. Alright, clouds did up until there. Patrick, yes, that's Jefferson. I don't know why I'm looking at my screen to read comments. I should be driving. I do enjoy this though. Thank you, Marie. Yes, it is dark. I'm being very careful. When we start to hit the major hills here. I know you're driving slowly. We all are. Thank you, Jen Lynn. Being safe. this point, I'm almost home. For those of you guys who watched or are on now, thanks for keeping me company on the way home. Be safe. Call the house.
Would you like to call?
The house. Yes.
Calling.
Hello.
What do you want?
Just want to see if you need anything while at Stop and Shop.
I'm kind of done. I'm looking for you.
Okay.
I'm on the home.
I will see you in a few minutes.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.
Our street has not been plowed in the leaf, so just want to let you know.
That's quite all right. I'm passing roads that didn't look like they were touched either.
Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye.